But let's just say, for example, I said not to take jobs where your job involves you touching or being around or doing some type of sin or having to deal with it in the products, that you have to deal with, or in how you interact with customers, such as pork or alcohol. Okay, what if, for example, DoorDash, the average store, the average restaurant, obviously these people don't follow the Christian faith or Bible. They all consume pork in their food. So what if, right, you constantly delivering food that has pork in it, whether it's bacon or ham or whatever. For that reason, then I would advise you then not to go on DoorDash at all and just pick another one that's similar, that's an easy job as well, like Lyft maybe. Unless maybe driving is something that you're uncomfortable with. But if you can avoid the orders that contain those sinful ingredients in a food, or as well as you're supposed to also avoid going to the restaurants and going to the stores, not a store like Walmart, because that's different. A Muslim would go there too. They just would get away from the alcohol area, the pork area. You get me? That's a choice. You pick what you want. You just don't want to work there. You don't want your salary, the money you use to have something that sin was done in order for you to earn it. You don't want that, because that company, you get me, that company, when they're giving you that salary and you were cutting pork, or you were dealing with an area, a department that was selling alcohol, okay, now you're sinful because you're actually working with it. Versus, let's say you got a job at a grocery store. Okay, they might have, of course, right, some sort of pork, etc. But you're not dealing with it. You're in a different area. Maybe you're just a floor person who just cleans. Maybe you're just a cashier. Then it doesn't matter, as long as you're not dealing with it, because they don't produce it. But if you're in a restaurant where they're producing and actually cooking the food with the actual pork, they're actually selling, making people sit down at a bar, and they're actually, giving you a drink. That's different. You're actually mixed with it. When they give you your paycheck, some of the customers, their money, what do they do with it? They gave the restaurant the money, right? And then the restaurant, that customer paid for a drink like alcohol. They paid for a pizza that has, pork in it, or whatever, you get the point. So then that's the money that customer gave to buy something sinful with, like alcohol. Okay, it goes into the company box of all the revenue they have. Some of that is taken out. It's your salary. So your money is unlawful for you to consume. Unlawful as in, spiritual. Unlawful in God's eyes. It's bad for you then. Because that money was earned through selling alcohol. Someone gave that money, and it was someone buying the actual drink. That entered your pocket as a salary at some point. That's bad for you now. That money just contains bad now. Demons will follow you through that. God doesn't think you have the right to use such a money. He thinks it's unlawful. So angels are writing it down for you that you're sinning. What's cursing you is the demon. They're putting curses on you because, you're doing something bad. You get me? So when I was a kid, when I was younger, I just worked in, regular cashier jobs that don't involve the actual store selling alcohol. So a place where maybe they're just selling clothing or shoes, like a men's suit store. That's easy for you. There's no sin there. It's just clothing. So don't be, too paranoid as if, you have to give up these jobs means then where are you going to go? God gave you options, obviously. Everything is not a sin. Sin is really what you would expect it to be, a sin. Something that's bad for you. Are you going to say alcohol is good for you? Doesn't it hurt you? Do you guys know why you actually vomit it out every time you drink? Why does your body, without your permission, vomit it out every time? You're crazy. You're calling it hangover and all that nonsense. Why would something that makes you sick? I know there are people who actually have anxiety with vomiting. It's a very scary thing to go through because it feels like you're dying or whatever. Why do you put yourself through that over and over and over and over again? because you don't have a relationship with God. If you go through some difficulty, some heartbreak, some loss, some mental problem, some depression, you're just going to go to that dumb liquid or the dumb drug or whatever. You're all possessed, get it? The average human is possessed. Non-Muslims are obviously possessed at a high level. So obviously, because you do these types of sins, demons at some point will enter your body. They're going to control you then. That personality that comes out of you that talks and exposes your secrets and acts like a different person is a demon, not you. They're controlling your words and movements and what you say and what you do. They try to get people to die every day in that situation. And other dangerous things obviously happen, such as people trying to kidnap you or harm you because you're not 100% alert and conscious when you're drunk. So I don't understand, from a place of logic, why you people do it. I'm talking about non-Muslims. Because Muslims don't say, let's not drink alcohol because the book says it. No, it's actually, we use logic. That's actually the reason we don't do it, because it's harmful to us. Then it's because God said no. You get me? But when God says no, he tells us why. The why is what I just told you, how harmful it is. God uses logic with us. You know? That's why he doesn't like it. It's not that he just likes things and hates some things. He's a logical God. So when he says, I don't like this, don't do it, there's actually a reason. Okay? So, but non-Muslims know these reasons and they still do it. Okay, so you're not like Muslims then. Because, you know what I mean? They could also ignore their book while you guys ignore your Bible that tells you not to do it. So then what's the problem? Why do you do it then? Even though you also have a book that says don't do it. It's your culture. It's your environment. It's how demons overall have just possessed you in a way that they have made it normal for you. While Muslims deal with other types of sin, their books tell them to be that perversion and sexism is okay, and they just run with it. So it's like every group has their own way that demons are controlling them, is what I'm saying. But in these things, these would be the reasons. So, for example, if, right, DoorDash obviously depends. You know what store, you know what restaurant this person ordered something from. Okay, so you can obviously assess what the food contains. If it contains that pork, that alcohol, something similar like that, that's not good for you. Okay, then don't pick up that order. It's that simple. Just pick what you go and deliver. Because you don't want to be delivering something sinful. You don't want to be the one that's transporting that alcohol, that's transporting that pork. Okay? And you're also getting your paycheck from that, right? Obviously, you're being paid for that. So it's entering your money. You don't want that. Demons are laughing at you when you do that. Because you're literally like supporting them. In their mind, that's how they see it. And this is actually what it means. You're actually helping demons. You're actually helping this sin to continue. What if human beings are being trafficked? What if you were a truck driver and you actually knew these humans were being trafficked and you allowed them into your truck and you actually took them to a place where they're going to be harmed? Do you agree you're part of that crime? Even though you didn't traffic them, you didn't kidnap them? So that's what alcohol and pork is. Even though maybe you didn't produce it, you didn't, cook that pizza with bacon or whatever, even though, or pepperoni or whatever, even though you didn't, you get me, at the beginning, produce it. If you're transporting it, if you're delivering it to people, if you're serving it to people, if your money, you're getting salary, paycheck from it, because that whole store, that whole restaurant, most of their salary comes from that alcohol sale. And obviously it's going to enter the money you get because money comes from the customers. They paid for that alcohol. So your money is that money that went to alcohol. And then more of your salary came from money that is used to go and buy more pork, more alcohol, and then bring it to the store. And now they're selling it again. So you're helping this crime. You get me? You're helping it. You're supporting it. You're an accomplice to this crime against God and yourself. You're hurting yourself. You're committing a sin against yourself and against God because you're hurting yourself with anything that we ever do that God doesn't like. We're hurting ourselves. Or also we're hurting others. And sadly, you're working against human beings, even though they don't think you're hurting them because they're lost and misguided. But you're also hurting them when you're, opening that wine for them and pouring them a drink. You're hurting them because this is going to put them in hell. So you're helping them to do something that actually hurts them. So then what does that mean? You're hurting them. So these are the reasons, okay? It hurts us. It hurts the other creations of God, like human beings. And, okay, we're sinning against God. We're disobeying him. And then it affects us in other ways, such as our money, our life, with the bad things that demons can now do to you, if they can possess you. There's so many consequences when God tells you not to do a sin. These are the reasons. So if God is logical like this, these are the reasons he gave us. Of course, he's not the God who tells you to be perverted and sexist like Islam or Christianity. Those are the corruptions in the Bible and the Quran, because these books always got corrupted in human history. But these two human groups, of this civilization will not admit it. So I already explained a little bit why they don't. It's what past humans also used to do. Every time a prophet came to them, the whole reason he came to them was because books get corrupted and humans don't want to admit it. They don't want to leave it. They want to actually follow the evil. Not everyone, obviously, but the evil ones usually in the community who lead it. There you go. Today, those sort of leading ones would be like the preachers, the bishops, the sheikhs, the people in charge of explaining the religion. They're the ones who are always going to misguide you when a book is corrupted because they're not speaking against it. Okay, then God has to send down, another prophet. He didn't send them down because it was fun, okay? There was a reason. So God always had a reason. If the last prophet, the book he was given to show everyone was still intact, people are still following the truth that book contained, there's no need to send another one. So God had a reason. Therefore, you already know a logical God like this. Okay, something like perversion, something like sexism, something evil and hateful, unjust and oppression to one gender or both, or harming the morality of the human being, obviously, turning you into predators to each other. There's no God who would tell you to do that. Only a devil will tell you to do that, because the devil's reason would obviously be to corrupt your morality. So that reason, right, a desire for you to become evil can only come from an enemy, okay? A creation, because only creations can be evil. Therefore, it cannot come from a creator, and it cannot from, therefore, God, because he's the creator. It's that simple. Logic, basic common sense. When humans want to fight with this and make religion into something really difficult like statistics or something, they're lying to you, because God is not going to make things difficult for us, because we don't have knowledge about him. We don't get to see him. He's not going to make this religion part of our lives difficult for us. It's just he hates bad. He loves good. He tells you to leave what's bad. He tells you to do what's good. It's that simple. It's about morality. That's why we're created. That's why we're here. He created evil and good to see who's going to pick either. What are you going to pick? What life are you going to pick? I don't care if you have no knowledge about God or religion. You're still human, get it? Logic is still going to guide you. You don't need to know that alcohol is a sinful thing. When you look at it, the thing is obviously harmful and bad. You're not going to do it if you're a healthy person in your morality. Okay? You just, some of you will be corrupted into it. Even though you get sick from it and you hate it, the environment you're in will keep pressuring you. So it's actually pressure. I've seen many non-Muslims who don't want it, but they're pressured. There you go. So if there was no pressure, if people thought you were dumb if you drink alcohol and do drugs, okay, the average young person growing up in any generation would actually not do it, because it's not cool. You don't have to do it. No one thinks there's something somehow not hip or cool about you. But if the opposite is always happening to them, if they're always being pushed to do it because others think they should do it, those people have been corrupted by the devil. And those who are like, don't do it. It's not. You don't have to do what they think. That sort of a sound person of mind is always called a nerd or dumb or whatever. It's just like a bully in school, okay? Religion is the same. Morality is the same. There's always a group that's dumb and shallow and weak The devil can easily take them, easily corrupt them. They're going to come after the rest and try to pressure you all who probably, if you were not pressured, you would not have taken that path. And you can't be like, that's not true. Pressure cannot really be the main reason. It is. How many human civilizations were these things considered bad? How many human civilizations can you go back in human history where humans didn't do what they're doing today? They didn't do sex outside of marriage. They didn't cheat like this. They weren't crazy and extremely unhealthy in their sexuality. They didn't become perverted. They didn't go and do drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. Women were more modest with their clothing. They didn't expose their chest or whatever. No one went to the beach exposing their butts as if it's normal. Both male and female do that. That's what I'm saying. It's your environment, it's your culture that the devil created for you. He made it into normal, modern, civilized, when it's just indecency and bad substances you're putting into your body. That's all I'm saying. So you know it's not human nature. You know it's not things that humans also, because human nature cannot have evil in it. God created our nature to be good. Evil is just created. You can just sin. But it's not your nature, okay? Nature means you're created that way. And two, it's not something that humans do just because they just do it. No. Everything is always going to follow logic. Since the creator is logical, everything he creates is going to follow logic, right? Don't you use science and math to understand many of the things God created, right? To measure a tree, to understand how he built certain things. Okay, everything you have to use logic then. Math and science is just logic. Even when we study history, we're using logic. We're using logic to understand why this group did this and that group then reacted this way and then it led to this type of event in human history. Everything we're using our logical mind. So you already know human beings in past human history. If due to the time they live in, the way people thought, the way they used their mind to simply say no to things that are not healthy, simply by just using their logical minds, such as going against these things today that are considered okay, like I just mentioned, then you know it's not just how humans are. You get me? They don't just easily boom, boom, become this way. Those ones, inspired each other to be the healthy way, the moral way. And a lot of them didn't even know who God is. That's just their culture, right? That they could have been Buddhist, worshiping human, that they turn into an idol, like a toy or image, and they worship it. Okay, but they still had morality in their lifestyle. You get what I'm saying? Even though they don't know who God is and they're disobeying him in that sense, they're misguided. God will judge them fairly because some know what they're doing. So that's what I'm saying. They did that because that was the culture. They did that because humans came together and said, we're not doing these bad things. And the group sort of followed that mentality. Okay, that just means today you live in a time where people are pressured into these things. If there was no pressure, if no one would judge you for saying no to alcohol, if no one would judge you, for saying drugs are weird, if no one would judge you for saying you're going to be a virgin until you get married, you'd all do these things. But you're scared of others' opinion. Okay, so it's not because you like it, or it's not because it's hard for you to give it up. It's the pressure. If you lived in a place where you were rewarded for that, then you'd actually do it. You'd be moral. And you still don't know who God is. Do you see what I'm saying? If people just use logic, so therefore our creator is logical. If these sins that are like I would say medium level sins, because there's low level, medium, and high level sins. We're going to say high level is the evil ones where you're harming others and yourself, like rape, murder, etc. Lying about people, putting innocent people in prison or jail or whatever because you accuse them. Doing witchcraft to people, high level. You're harming people's lives, their honor, or their livelihood. Okay, I'll just stop there. I don't want this to go on too long. So take a job that does not involve anything with you handling, you transporting or delivering, you getting your direct salary from producing, cooking, making, anything to do with directly or indirectly like this with sinful things that are not okay to consume, like pork and alcohol. I can't think of the other things right now. I think those are the main ones. The other things are kind of obvious. Like, don't obviously go into an environment where the environment is also sinful. Like, for example, a bar, a club, what do? The males and females mix and they do sinful things. God doesn't give them permission to be sexual. They have to be married to do that. They're perverted then. They're just fooling around with random people. There's music. That's why it's dark in there, because it's a demonic place. Why are you turning the lights off? That's creepy. But have you noticed when humans go to their jobs or other places, or they're having a nice seminar, everything's bright and light and peaceful and innocent, and even kids can go, why are you making this place so doom and gloom and dark and weird? Everyone looks depressed. They just got heartbroken or whatever. You're not using logic to be like, wait a minute. These humans already, without saying anything, are saying this is against God. Because they only come here when they're miserable. They only come here when they did something bad to themselves, baby. So that means they should go to a place that would make them feel better, right? Uplift their mood, because they have problems, obviously, emotional problems. And that's why they come to the club or bar. Why don't they go get emotional help then? Why don't they go solve the problem with logic? You lost your job, well then go work hard for another one. You know, you got divorced, well then go heal from that situation. If you want to get married again, you do that in the future. Don't be too weird and haste, obviously. Like, logic is always the solution. So why are you going somewhere and numbing yourself with substances that hurt your body, and you think you're not evil to yourself? You think you didn't do something that a God would hate. Why would a God allow you to hurt yourself? And it's not like alcohol or drugs are just bad for you. Like eating too much food, but at least what you consume was normal. Like food is normal. No. They're actually evil. Get it? You get possessed. It's something that demons, by working with humans, they abuse certain things to produce this nonsense. It's like producing a vaccine that could kill someone. Are you going to say that's medicine? No. Right? Because something bad can be produced and be used as a medicine, and it's not, correct? So something that you can drink or eat can also be produced, but it actually hurts the human body. So I don't want you to think it's about health that is hurting. Because I don't think you care about your health, obviously, when you're drinking alcohol. I'm trying to show you what you're actually doing to yourself. You're taking away your own ability to be conscious. You're not present and alert anymore. Crime and evil things can happen to you. 2, you're not yourself. Some other weird thing comes out of you. You're not yourself. Something took over your mind, your body. 3, you're hurting your body. That's why it's vomiting it out. It's disgusting. It's annoying. It's painful. I'm just trying to. I know humans are crazy, but I'm trying to, like, at the same time. I don't understand why you people do this to yourself. It's because that's what demons do. Get it? Even though you agree with me as you listen to me, the part that then you still, despite that, go and drink it is the power they have over you. Get it? They have power over your mind. They have the power to manipulate your mind using witchcraft and curses. And many of you, obviously, you're possessed. That's actually what it means to be a demon. Get it? They're using those dark powers to manipulate your thinking, to agreeing to go and still drink the alcohol, despite me telling you in this episode how dumb you are to drink it, and you agree with me, but you're still gonna drink it because that's the part they control you. Get it? That's their job. Their job is to make you do something internally you know you should not do. That's their job. So obviously God tells you not to do these things because they're bad for you, but also because He gives them power over you. These demons get to now manipulate your mind into going into other things that are sinful for you. How come alcohol always go with sex before marriage? Why do they always mix the males and the females in a way that they can have a room or something? Because the devil is trying to put you to have sex before marriage. That's a big sin. So then what? He knows when you're sound in mind is going to be very hard. Maybe you just want to get to meet someone you like. Okay. But if they possessed you, they just made you do the alcohol first, the drugs first. You become like a dead person, but the body's still there. Your mind is under the control of the demon and whatever emotions and thoughts they project to you. It's easy to drag you into a room and do something. That's why they're there. That's why perversion and alcohol and drugs go together. Because they're trying to get you to do perversion, but they don't know how to do it. So they try to at least make your mind go away. Your mind is the problem. So they have to give you substances that take away your ability to think like right now. Then it's easy to drag you. If you're depressed and heartbroken or miserable or whatever, obviously it's easy if you then drink alcohol or do drugs. So then get you to agree to go do something bad. Because you're already in a bad energy, in a bad low state. Your emotions were already weak. And when they make you do a sin like alcohol, drugs, it puts witchcraft on you. I don't want you to just think it's a sin. No, it puts witchcraft on you. It puts curses on you and other powers only God knows. Those things, right, those powers, they manipulate your thinking. That's their job. So since they just manipulated your thinking, they're going to go make you do something then. That's also sin. And because that witchcraft is in your system, we can't just go to non-Muslims and be like, you guys need to give up alcohol. They're never going to agree with us. They're human. They use logic. They go to school too. But they're not going to agree. And you're thinking, why would they not agree? They agree with the logical explanations I gave them. So then why do they disagree? They don't think it's good. Because that's what the witchcraft did. It manipulated their mind. It took away the mind. The demon comes to them and says, don't listen to these people. Yeah, alcohol makes you feel sick. You have a hangover after that. Yeah, you made some bad decisions when you drank one time. Yeah, someone could try to harm you when you're drunk and maybe you're by yourself at a bar. You come outside. Someone could try to kidnap you. Yeah. But other people don't necessarily have that experience. So who cares? That's their job. Not only do they put witchcraft and nonsense on you that manipulate your thinking, that make you live a certain lifestyle, that make you do certain things, changes your personality, but they also talk to you. They also whisper to your mind. They whisper to your ears, it enters the mind. They're controlling you with so much. God doesn't want you in those dark places. He created evil. As long as you agree with that statement that God created evil, then why do you argue with me? Why do you fight and resist when I give you an example of what's evil, like a club or bar or drinking, alcohol, pork, and drugs, and sex outside of marriage? Why do you argue? You just agreed with me evil is out there. This is an example of evil. So if you agree God created evil and he doesn't want you to be evil or be mixed with evil, then why do you go mix with it? Think about that and stop mixing with it. So choose a job that's healthy. The environment, the department, the store, whatever they're selling does not have these qualities, these things that you're selling that are bad. A place where you're selling clothes, shoes, you work in an automotive shop. Okay, those are normal places you can work. If it's a restaurant, obviously, it depends what they're selling. They're not all going to sell alcohol and pork. Go to those ones. Go to, don't take the orders that contain these things when you're doing Lyft. When you're doing DoorDash. Because DoorDash is not going to be considered a sin by God. It's going to be considered a sin when you're taking an order from a restaurant that literally is a bar or club or sells that stuff. Or the food you're carrying actually contains that stuff. You get me? Because now you're actually mixed with it. You see, you're mixed with the sin. But if you don't take those orders, just as you don't take, let's say you're a Lyft driver or just a taxi driver, if you don't pick up people who have a gun, if you don't pick up people who look crazy, who want to harm you, you get me? You had a choice, right? You chose not to pick them up. Normal people just trying to get to their job, you picked them up and that you drove them to their work. Did you commit a sin? No. It's like that. You didn't help that criminal who had a gun who wanted you to drop them off at a bank so they could shoot someone like that. You're not an accomplice to the sin. to the crime. It's like that. Just use logic. Don't have a job where you're somehow an accomplice. You're supporting, you're helping, you're transporting, you're mixing, you're creating, you're building something that is sinful. So this part of Islam obviously is very logical and healthy. Apply it to yourself. You don't have to be Muslim, obviously. God created all of us. We all have a God. He's one. So this wisdom from him is still going to help you, whether you're actually a Muslim or not. Just leave the evil parts of this religion that's corrupted, the perversions and sexisms and all the weird stuff in it, because God will take it out. Pick a good job. If you're going to say to me, well, that's too stressful for me, why would I want to do a job like that where I have to constantly pick and choose what I do? Look at the order. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I just gave that as an example. And then what you should do to protect yourself. But obviously, you're right. It's too stressful. So just do some other job that's easy to get. A quick job. A quick job. Unless you're scared of, driving people like Lyft. Don't obviously, see, same thing. You're going to use logic again. Don't do things that are going to put your life in bad situations. Such as driving at night. I prefer you don't do that stuff. Obviously, it depends, right? Maybe they're always going to neighborhoods that are really just normal. I don't know. It depends. It's not like it's scary to drive at night. It's just you already drive all at night anyway. You get me? It all depends on you and the situation. But we would never advise you to drive at night. I've had, Lyft drivers, Uber drivers help me all my life, basically, when I didn't drive. Right? Sometimes I would get off work at like 8 p.m. I never thought it was scary or dangerous outside. We're all human beings. As long as we're the good normal ones or just the decent ones, I don't see what the problem is. Between us, we're fine. The ones who will put your life in danger are obviously going to pop up very rarely. But the usual person who's using the app really is just trying to get to their location. They're not trying to hurt anyone. We're just telling you not to pick up people who want to go to a bar, a club, a casino, a gambling place, and any place that is not clean and holy and pure that a God would be okay with. So you're going to apply the same logic here. But usually where people are going. It's just their job or just normal places. If the app makes it difficult, well, then research how you can make sure you know where they're going. You can literally just come to the location without ever introducing yourself to the customer. Don't do that, because then they might all complain about you that you're always leaving. No, you know how the app tells you the directions? It just tells you what to do, like go left, go right. That's what people tell me sometimes. And it doesn't maybe tell them the final destination. Okay, go. You're still going to get money, I'm sure, for that. Just go. Just drive. They at least consider you working if there's no money. Now that you see, right, where the location is, oops, is a sinful place, then drive off. Don't actually, wait for the customer to actually tell them, I'm sorry, I can't. Don't create a conflict with them like that. Just drive off because you realize it's not a good place. But you come to the location and it's a Walmart. It's a mall. It's a bank. Well, you can pick someone up. You get me? We Muslims go to banks, for example. But they do something sinful. They do interest. That doesn't mean I can't go to a bank. So you could pick me up one day at a bank, a Muslim. It's fine. Because I don't have to go deal with the parts that are sinful, the interest. But I'm not going to work at a bank. You see how logical this is? Because I need to obviously have a place to store money. Right? We don't live in a Muslim country. Well, God is obviously very logical, and he accommodates us, obviously. He's not a dumb God. We can go get what we need from that place. That interest is not the same as me sitting down to an alcohol, like a bar next to me. How many hotels did I go to when I was traveling? And they have a little place way over there where they're selling alcohol. I'm not over there. I'm in the rooms. It doesn't matter. I don't have a choice. But do I have a choice in the hotels that I pick? Yes. So then I won't ever go there. But that's when I didn't know. You get me? That's when I didn't know. And so God is not going to use that against me. He's a logical God. But if you intentionally go into hotels, you have an option to go to the ones that don't have a bar. And you're intentionally choosing these ones. See, God is going to judge your intention. You get me? Yes, you didn't do a sin. You didn't go to the bar. But you get me? He would rather you go to the place that does not have a bar. But are you going to go to hell because you went to hotels that have bars and you didn't go near the bar section? No. Because God knows you didn't do anything to put yourself in that situation. You live in a non-Muslim country. It's their thing. It's their culture. They're sinning. They lost connections with him. Why would he use that against us Muslims? We don't have a choice where we go in this country. Everything is non-Muslim. There's going to be a lot of things, therefore, that don't follow the basic rules of religion God sent down for the entire human race. Since obviously religion is not just for Muslims. You guys don't follow some of those basics. So God understands that. A logical creator, obviously. He's not a dictator. He's not crazy. You get me? God wants us to always make a choice. What's always better and safer and moral and pure? If we don't have a choice, we have to go to the better option. If we have a choice, why are we wasting our time doing something that is going to involve some difficulty for us? If we have a choice to go somewhere that doesn't put us in such a burden. Okay, so I obviously would go to hotels and places that don't have that nonsense. That small little section where everyone's drinking alcohol. It makes me so anxious and nauseous when I see people who have drugs, or I'm sorry, not drugs. This word keeps getting thrown out. Alcohol. Because I see the spiritual part. You don't really see that. I see just how evil you guys are in that moment. How a lot of you are going to go and have sex outside of marriage right after. It's so disgusting to me. I see things you don't see. To you, that's like normal. Because that's what you do every day. You don't see how disgusting that is to other people. Because you lost that purity yourself. Just like a drug addict is not going to think there's something extremely bad about them as much. They know they're not living a healthy life. Yeah, but they don't think they're bad, do they? They don't think people will feel unsafe with them. That's what I'm saying. When you're mixed in it, you can't judge yourself like people who are not mixed with what you're doing. That doesn't mean they're unfair to you. No, I still treat them like human beings. I still have compassion for non-Muslims. I don't hate anyone, goodness. I only hate evil humans who harm others. I'm just talking about, you get me, what I see. I see you guys are mixed with darkness, and I run for the hills if I see that. So where you go to shop, where you go to eat, the things you do, everything, go to the area of that store that's always normal. If you have an option between two stores, go to the one that doesn't contain these types of products. But large places that we all go to, a large grocery store, a department store, we all know there's going to be that little store, that little area that sells alcohol. God is not telling you you're going to go to hell for that, because you're not going to that area. He knows humans have designed things in a way where they don't separate it always. But do you have an option? Are there stores that probably don't sell alcohol that you can buy grocery? Yes. Go to those ones then. You know, at some point you're going to be judged since you had a choice. We just don't know how God is going to judge specific situations like this. I'm just saying you're not committing a sin as long as you don't go near it. But if you're going to work in it, that's when you're committing a sin. I'm not going to work at a bank. Because my money, what I'm dealing with, some of it has interest. So my salary has interest. I'm doomed, okay? Two, the things they just do at a bank, a lot of it is very, you would agree, unjust and unhealthy. God would never like the way they treat customers, right? Because they're greedy. God doesn't like greediness. He doesn't like you stealing from people. That's why he hates interest. They're just stealing from us. They're just charging us extra money for no reason. So you would want a God to be this loving. You would want him to protect you from the greediness that he himself created. He created this evil of greediness. You should love it when he tells you to not do these things. Only humans who are, abusing others and they're corrupted in their hearts by the devil, they're going to argue with us. But then when they go home, they're going to be like, that was right. Why did I argue? I also don't like interest. I'd rather not have my money taken from me either. You get me? The thoughts come to them and fight with their logic. It fights with their morality. But deep down, we're all human. They know. They know it's bad. Because, you get me, they're human. They also experience the negative effects of it. But demons have control over them. Everything goes back to how the devil is manipulating all of you. Even though deep in your conscience, you know what's good and you know what's not fair. And you know what's actually obviously bad and harmful and evil. Just use your conscience. Don't worry about how this world is structured, how these stores are built, how jobs today are done. God is taking things back to how it used to be, where people kind of work for themselves. Yay! You don't have to now be stuck as a number to a corporation. Everyone has to go to a company. And you know they're going to control you then. Because if they don't like you and you get fired, they're going to do something where other companies judge you too. Who gave them the right to judge us like that? We have the choice and the right to work for this company the same way they pick us. We should pick them. We should have the same sort of power that companies seem to have at an interview. We should be the ones judging them. Do we want to work with them? And then, okay, when you leave them, you should just get another job right away. But they do something, right? These corporations, the way their culture has become, they push you away from other companies because they're going to be like, oh, well, you left this one so quickly. Why did you leave? See, they act like you're supposed to somehow be a slave to them. When a job is just a livelihood for you, it's just a way to survive, it's just make money so you don't die from hunger, right? Okay, so it's not logical, therefore. Do you see I'm using logic with you again? It's not logical that human beings who are the same species as you, who don't believe they're God to you, who don't believe they have the right to own you, why they treat you as if they think they can own your sort of liberty. It's not logical. Therefore, it's from the devil. Because obviously he's trying to control you. Evil, a part of that evil obviously means controlling others. Their rights from God. We're equal, therefore we cannot control each other. I just come to work here because I want to make money. Give me my money. I did some work. Okay, I'm going to go take the money and take care of myself. It's that simple. I don't want to work for you anymore. I should quit. The other company should just pick me as long as I can do the work. As long as I can do the skill. And they should train people, obviously, and stop harassing us with knowledge or experience. It's a way to limit people. It's a way to push them back and forth between whatever companies they want you to work with by creating these limitations of degrees and education, all this stuff and experience and how many. That's another way to take away then the other liberty from you also. When they try to control how you behave and how you speak. And I'm not talking about moral way of speaking with others. They're supposed to tell you how to behave morally if you're evil, obviously. I'm talking about things that have nothing to do with morality or being good in character when you're interacting with colleagues. I'm talking about when they have a weird culture, you know? Come here and greet these people. Come and do that. Why should you force yourself to greet people? Again, we're humans, right? We should get along. But are you forcing it? Or are people just greeting each other because they're decent? Okay, but you're forcing them. These companies force you to greet people. They force you to sit down with people. They force you to do things that are like going on parties. And what the hell is going on? Like Asian countries, they force them to drink. To go to these, I forgot what they were called. These karaoke's, yeah. What the hell does that have to do with their job, right? That's a personal thing you do. So they're taking away the professional aspect of their jobs. The fact that these people are strangers to them. They're taking away their rights, their dignity, their humanity. And that's how they try to touch them and be perverted towards them. And see, that's why they're taking you to a karaoke and tell you to drink. Because they want you to be lacking the consciousness, right? Your mind is gone. And they want to not take advantage of you because you're not like your usual alert self. So it's obviously the devil doing this through human beings. It's from him. If you want to know if something's from God or the devil didn't create evil, obviously. He just teaches you. Simply see if it hurts the human or if it helps the human. Is it hurting or harming them? Is it taking away their authenticity, their honor, their liberty, their greatness, their equality among each other, males, females, all races, all age groups, everyone. As long as you're this human species, you're all equal to each other. Only evil makes you less than a human. So good people are better than you. That's it. Morality makes you better than each other. Your character. You can't be like, I don't believe that. Oh, okay, what do you think hell and paradise is for? Obviously, that has nothing to do with gender. You would agree with me. It has nothing to do with age. You agree paradise is just for good people. Hellfire is just for bad ones. So God is telling you how he judges you every day when he's watching the human race. Right? He obviously cares who worships him. But since he allowed ignorance to be allowed, he allowed misguidance to be part of this existence. What you experience, you may not know who he is or his religion. He's not going to use that as his first judgment on you. The first judgment is morality, your heart, who's good and who's bad. You could be a non-Muslim as long as you're moral than that Muslim person over there. Well, you're going to go to paradise and not them because they went around doing evil nonsense. Unless they repented and also received their way to go to paradise. God will find a way to judge you fairly for the fact that you didn't worship him because you didn't know him. It was an intentional disbelief. So there we go. We go back to the same basic thing that I just told you. He's logical, which also means you're just. So pick a good job in that sense, okay? Don't do bad things to get a job. Don't curse yourself and others. This obviously includes other conduct that's sinful, such as the environment being a place where people are committing, sex outside of marriage in that place. You get me? Like they're doing that promiscuity. They have all this foul music and all this mixing and dancing. One of the best examples of foul music is hip hop. So it's just all this nasty stuff that a God would never allow you to be around. If the place you're trying to get a service, somehow those things are around that building, that company, then don't go there as a customer and be in that environment. Don't live there. Don't stay there. Go to places that are normal and don't have this problem. They're obviously not gonna tell you that it's okay to take a job where you're not necessarily dealing with the sinful stuff like the alcohol, the pork, but you're just at a different location of that company, or you work at, let's say, the corporate part of the company. You just do an administrative job. Okay, but the company, right, the big brand you work for overall produces alcohol or drugs or whatever like that. Okay, you're still committing a sin. You're not supposed to mix with such employers is the point. Okay, but since we're Muslim, we don't have a choice but to live in a non-Muslim country where some of the things that are sinful, we're going to have no choice but to go into an environment where that sinful stuff is there. But it's not considered a sin in this case because we're just a customer and we're going to take the normal stuff from the place like Walmart. So it's not sinful for me to go to Walmart in that sense because it's not necessarily a bar. It's not necessarily a club. I can just go and grab, bread and then leave. Clothing and just leave. Because God is going to accommodate us. He knows we don't have a choice. We're in a non-Muslim country. It's a sin when a Muslim is creating companies like that in their company. Because you get me. That's actually, it's your company. It's a Muslim country. You're insulting God. Okay, but these are non-Muslim countries. God doesn't expect us to find everything, right, in a way that you would in a Muslim country. So he obviously will accommodate. He's a logical God. But it's not okay for us to be mixed with it. You see the words I'm using. We're not supposed to mix with it. We're not supposed to be the ones creating and manufacturing and selling and producing and cooking and making that sinful activity. Whether it's something you consume or something you just do or something you believe or something you say. Okay, so I can just go to Walmart, grab the normal things from Walmart that are not sinful and leave. But I'm not going to go and work at Walmart because now my livelihood, my salary, my life, everything comes from my money, my home. Goodness. Right? When I'm worshiping God and as I have clothes on and I'm praying to him, that clothing, I bought it with money that is sinful. Do you get what I'm saying? It affects us. It affects our relationship with God, therefore, because we use money to do everything. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Is this sort of balance? You get me? You're not supposed to work with it, make living with it. If you have a choice and go into stores that don't obviously sell these things, if there's a store I can go and buy clothing, because obviously there's a lot of beautiful department stores. Okay, that's where I'm supposed to go, and that's where I do go if I want to buy clothing. Obviously, we go to Muslim ones, but, it depends if they don't have what you want. They don't sell everything because there is no art and beauty and clothing and all that stuff because of the sexism and the perversion and the oppression to women. All that creativity, all that artisticness, all that greatness is taken away that original Muslims had, who had great empires and wealth. Okay, so God will give them back those things in the human race. God will help them. Obviously, he's not biased, but this group that worships him, but they're some of them are corrupted and the others are evil and they're actually indulging in the evil parts of his religion that's from the devil. Okay, well, the greatness of this group is going to have to come back because righteous people will come back to be leaders again. And okay, the bad Muslims will have to make a decision. Do they want to repent and change? And those who need to be punished, they're going to have to figure that out in their Muslim countries, how to punish each other. Because we can punish each other, it's all good. But we're not going to, kill or punish a non-Muslim. You get me? It's not going to affect you. You get the point. God will figure that out. Areas where obviously they have to be punished for the things they did. Goodness. That's the justice part that God his true religion would have. That righteousness, that sort of warrior-like person that, right? Oh, the court system, everything will be fixed. And okay, but it's going to also fix the entire human race. All their courts, all their systems. No one's going to force it on them. It's just going to be spread to them. It's just they're going to get the option. You get me? God does not force his religion on you. He makes people spread it to you. If you don't want it, okay, he'll deal with you when you die. Okay? Sometimes in this life, he might just destroy you. But he's obviously a very merciful God. He gives human beings time. Okay, so what I'm saying is, Muslims, including you, a non-Muslim who's listening to me, if you want to connect with God and do the righteous, moral thing, don't get a job where you're mixing with these things and sinful things and any conduct or activity that's bad and unhealthy, unethical, evil, and strange and bad and hurts people. It's that simple. What you do cannot be bad. Your revenue cannot come from it. You know, even if you're not dealing with it directly, it doesn't matter. It's still the big company you work with. Get away from it. Okay, so Muslims don't work in banks, for example, because the sin of the interest, they deal with interest. They're stealing money from you as a bank. So only a non-Muslim could have such a system, and only a person who's not a person who, you know, follows the basic fundamentals that God taught humanity, regardless of your religion. You know, humans have been separated, obviously, by the devil into many false religions. Okay, just humans who at least believe in ethicalness, right? They're not going to obviously create these types of companies that are banks today that do this type of way that they deal with customers. They're unjust with you. They're basically greedy, so they steal from you, but they made it seem like a cool system. You know how you can make a crime into something normal by making it like a system, right? You can act like it's some sort of process. Like TSA, what they do is sinful and evil. They're perverted and they touch people, okay, inappropriately. Okay, so they created it into a system, like something normal. They strip people in jails and mental hospitals and prisons. That's a sin. God is going to... The nicest part of hell is waiting for you. Let's just say that, okay? So when I say nice, obviously means the worst, okay? So what I'm saying is, these things, right, these harmful things where you're taking the honor of the body, you don't honor the body of the human. You're not supposed to see people's bodies and private parts. You're not supposed to make them feel like objects that you can just strip, or touching them and tapping them inappropriately. Obviously, there's just a way to just tap someone's... jacket or whatever, and there's a way to, obviously, you know what I'm talking about, how TSA do things. They violate the person's body like that. Okay, non-Muslims hate that stuff, but do they say anything about it? Do they go and protest and change it? It's been turned into a system. So something evil and bad that you and I, when we sit down, we can say can only come from the devil, and we would never agree to it ourselves. Obviously we can agree today. A lot of it is in our countries, or any country that you live in, whether it's your own country, or right, someone like me obviously immigrated to it. So why? If it's bad and harmful, why is it in our systems? Why is it in our governments? Why is it turned into something that is seen as just a different way to do things? What the hell do you mean different way to do things? You know what I'm saying? Humans just have one way to deal with each other, and that's just ethical ways, healthy, moral ways that we honor each other. Okay, but what is this sort of weird way that one group can treat you if they have to work in such a job? And okay, it's treated as just another way to live and not an evil thing. Because terminology, the devil just changed the terminology. He just uses words to make it seem like it's just life. You're just going to have to deal with it. These people are authority over you. Those who work in government, no, we're equal to each other. You're not my authority. Just as a government employee passing by me right now, you would agree doesn't have any rights to me. They don't have rights to me when they are at the airport. You get what I'm saying? You don't change just because of your job. But the devil created that because he gave certain jobs power, obviously, to do evil and make it seem like, oh, if you resist, you're the one who's going to be punished legally, when legal punishment is for bad people the way God sees bad and not the way governments see it, because they obviously have turned normal things into crime and they've turned bad things into normal legal things. Okay, so morality is corrupted. That's why the truth is going to come down very soon, and God is going to take out all this injustice in just the entire human race. But it's going to have to affect Muslims first, because they're already here, the people of God. Just their religion is corrupted. They're going to have to take the lead, and whoever joins them is going to work with them, and they're going to have to spread this justice and morality. You get what I'm saying? With whoever their leaders are that is, leading them. Okay, and humans have a choice. Okay, no one's going to invade your country. Or that's the corruption in Islam, where they act like Muslims invaded each other. What the hell? Why would they love each other then? Muslims, obviously, you agree, love each other. If some were forced into the religion, you got to be kidding me. They would have exited the religion ASAP when they go to non-Muslim countries where you're not obviously going to be terrorized if such bad Muslims existed. Okay, people chose the religion because it was not corrupted. It was truly the original religion of God Almighty in the past. It was beautiful then. That's why they took it. Common sense, okay? Not the other way where obviously humans are forced into things. Now they're being forced into it. Now they're being pushed into agreeing with the evil in it, okay? And that evil, God is going to take it out very soon. Okay, inshallah, what I'm trying to say is, it's sinful for Muslims to obviously work in these places, but some of them I've seen them do it, sadly. And then a bank, right? They're stealing from you. They're doing interest. They're basically charging you money. They don't have the right to charge you. You know, you're just storing my money, savings or checkings. What's the problem? Just keep my money. You know, if I want to, I don't know how to explain. If someone borrows money from you, then just give them the money and then they'll pay you back. It's just like you and I, person to person. But they want to charge interest. They want to put you in those weird conditions where they have a loan. We don't take loans as Muslims from banks. We don't deal with interest. We don't do any of these things where the conduct of how they handle money with the customer is unethical, it's unmoral, it's unjust, it's greedy, and it's wrong. So a God you agree is moral. You agree God is good. God doesn't like you stealing from someone. Sort of like direct way where you grab it, or manipulative ways where you just sort of manipulate how you, right, share something with them. Okay, so he's not okay with how banks handle things. There's actually, that doesn't mean the banks are sinful. No, a bank that's moral, that just doesn't do these unethical things, is what the true religion of Islam, if it was here, the correct one that's not corrupted, that's what it would create. It would create banks, obviously. It would create everything you need. It's just, right, that a civilized country would need. It's going to take out the unjust, unethical parts. Okay, so since that religion, you get me, for you who's a non-Muslim, or for you who live in non-Muslim countries who cannot get employers that do ethical things. They do unethical things sometimes. They sell things that they shouldn't be selling. Okay, that sinful humans use, like alcohol. Well, you're not gonna work in such employers. There's hundreds and billions of other companies you can work with. If they're not available, that doesn't mean then it's okay for you to work here. I don't think that's what it means. No, you're still bad. Why would you do that? If something is bad, it's bad for you. If you have no other way, okay, God will take care of you. He'll take care of you. What I'm saying is, right, be human, be logical, and go and actually make money through ways that are healthy and normal and moral and pure. Just because you don't have options to make a living from normal conduct doesn't mean you're supposed to then just go and do evil conduct. Then you're saying evil is okay. Murderers will also give you reasons too why they thought it was okay. They'll be like, I couldn't find a way to. They're gonna create fake, random, weird, strange excuses too. Don't justify evil and bad things. Nothing can ever justify bad conduct. I'm saying that's the first reason, because it's evil, because it's wrong, because it's bad. Okay, it's an unlawful way to make money. But two, you have billions of employers who don't deal with these things, just normal companies. You know, a library, for example, if they're not obviously doing something weird behind people's back, like some criminal, horrible thing where they're hurting society. Okay, you worked at a library, you worked at a school. They usually don't do anything bad. That's what I'm saying. There's obviously places you can just work. Typical corporations, even some government jobs are just normal jobs. If I wanted to get a job, I'm not going to work in certain government jobs, obviously, because what they're doing is evil. What they deal with is evil. So you're supposed to pick a job where your conduct does not involve you doing something sinful, and the company, what they deal with at a large, even if you're not mixed with it, does not deal with something sinful. So even if it's a different area of that company, right, like a grocery store, but they're selling alcohol over there, you're not supposed to work in such a company. That's what I'm saying. Don't just be like, well, I'm just dealing with the clothing part, or, just the food part. No, don't do it. Okay, it's just like you working at I already gave an example, sorry. So anyways, work for those companies, for example. Let's say you want to work in retail. I worked in retail when I was younger. I always pick employers that what they're selling is just normal stuff, like clothing, normal food, like that. Just pick companies that don't involve this stuff, smoking, products, alcohol products, drug products, pork products, and the other stuff, right, that obviously is so diverse. There's hundreds of ways we can list that they manipulate or do bad things or hurt or steal or scam people or trick people, or they're greedy or they're unjust or they're unfair with what they're selling and sharing with you. So Muslims are not supposed to work in banks, but we obviously have no choice but to go into a bank, right? Since there is no Muslim bank, we don't have a choice but to go into their banks and, okay, we're going to take their service, right? We're going to be a customer, but we're going to get away from their interest. We're going to get away from their loans. We're going to get away from the bad, unethical, greedy, evil ways they handle money. Okay, but that doesn't mean that it's okay for me to go work with them and just get away from the areas that you deal with interest as an employee. No, because that's different. That's my money. Their revenue, they're making it through sinful ways. They're greedy and evil, and they're doing bad in order to make such money that then they would use to pay me. I can't do that. I can't be part of the you know what I mean? You know when you commit a crime and there's a accomplice? That accomplice is as guilty as you, right? That's what I'm saying. We're not going to be an accomplice to a sin. But we don't have a choice but to sometimes go into the building and get a service. The service could be pure and normal. Okay, I'm going to exit that place ASAP. I'm not going to hang around there too long. So I'm trying to explain basically how we differentiate those two, because it can get mixed, obviously. If I go to a bank right now, you might then think, right, Islam says that you can then, right, or God Almighty says that then it's okay to work with it and just get away from the bad part. No, working it is different. You get me? Because you're actually part of the processing of that evil conduct they do. You're actually working to spread the evil they do. You're an employee, so you have to obviously be happy with what your employer does. Just because you're gonna be like, I won't be happy with it internally, I promise. I don't care. You're helping them, you're supporting them, you're spreading what they do to others, right? You're an employee. Okay, if what they do for others is sinful in God's eyes, but then you're an accomplice to that sin. You're evil. You're spreading it. You're guilty too. You're just like the bank. You get me? You're just like a lower level of it. Don't do that then. Pick normal jobs. And I explain in this episode right now more details. So sadly, there are Muslims, that everyone to some degree knows, and I have seen myself, who actually do work in companies like, let's say, Walmart, where then it would be sinful for them because they actually sell alcohol. So let's think about it. They agree, and based on what I taught you, you would agree with me then if you use that information to then conclude this, you would agree that working at, for example, a place that sells food that you made, like a fast food, or let's say a club or bar or a restaurant, not club or bar, sorry. Let's say a fast food chain or just a restaurant. Based on what I explained, it's sinful for you to work there if they're selling alcohol or pork, correct? Because you don't have to produce it. You don't have to work in that actual section that is selling the alcohol or the pork. If you're serving it, if your salary is coming from it, either way, because the whole company, whatever they're paying you, the employee, even if you were just a janitor there, it's still going to come from the revenue, the salary, your salary. It's still going to come from the revenue the company made. How did the company make their money? How did they make their revenue? By customers giving them money to purchase that alcohol or pork. So your money is unlawful. Your money is sinful and bad for you. It's wrong for you to use that money. Okay, so then that means you can't work in such places. Okay, Walmart is similar. Because you could also say, oh, I'm working at the clothing area. The alcohol section is way over there. Your money is still going to come from their sale that they made through the alcohol. Your money is now also unlawful for you as a Muslim and as a human overall. Those who are not Muslim, you just don't obviously believe in it, since you don't follow the religion. Okay, so I've seen Muslims obviously work in places like Walmarts and Targets, and if they're selling alcohol, then you're not supposed to work there. I've never worked in those places. I've worked in, the sort of retail companies that don't sell any of this stuff. Somewhere like just clothing, and that's it. I mean, do you know how many companies are in this country? In just one little city, forget about a state. There's way too many companies for you to choose. Don't act like you don't have a way out of this, like you're never going to get a job or something, please. I would say like 80 or 90% of corporations don't deal with this stuff. They just do other stuff. Like they just deal with information, healthcare, office typical work that doesn't involve them selling, producing, anything that where they're stealing from people, they're lying to them, they're tricking them, like those companies that scam you, they trick you, they whatever, cold calls, okay? Basically, they talk to you and they act like they're trying to sell you something, but some of it is going to involve them lying to you and tricking you and trying to hype up the situation. All that is sinful. Anyway, where you're deceiving people, manipulating people, lying to them, or the service you provide is going to hurt them. It's going to hurt their health. It's going to hurt their human rights, the healthy, moral parts of human rights, because anyone can call something human right that's not their human right. But you know what I'm talking about. Normal, healthy things that we all have the right to have. Any employer that is somehow working against those good things. Okay, now you're also in a job that is unlawful for you, and your salary is unlawful for you. And you're taking that salary through all these different ways you can make money that is bad for you, and now you're paying your rent with it. You're buying food with it. Your apartment is cursed with it now. There's gonna be demonic influence in your home. There's gonna be demonic influence in what you just ate. Demons have access to you. So you're disobeying God. It's bad. It's wrong. It's sinful. So these Muslims, I don't know how they convince themselves to go to these places. They just think they should not work at the department that sells the alcohol. It doesn't matter. It's just like the same argument that non-Muslims make. They say, okay, well, I just won't work at the area where, someone actually serves you the alcohol or pours it for you. That sort of bar area. They say they're just going to serve the food. That does not involve the drinks. Muslims will be like, hell no, that's still sinful. Okay, so then why do you guys go? Again, these Muslims are probably misguided in this. I don't think they're doing it intentionally. Because they really do influence. Muslims usually influence each other. It's a group that can't do something if others tell them don't do it. That's why they follow the religion a little more strongly than other humans. They're false religions. You know what I mean? Because they influence each other so heavily. It's so strong. If those Muslims tell you, my brother, my sister, this is bad, they're going to be like, okay. so then if they come to you and they're like, my brother, my sister, this is good for you, this is bad for you, when they're actually not telling you to do something evil and immoral in the areas of Islam that's corrupted, which is the perversions, the sexisms, all that stuff. Obviously, only an evil human would agree with that. A good Muslim is not going to agree. They're just going to keep their mouth shut because the group is too big. And the whole group is evil and doesn't care. You get me? They like that perversion and nasty stuff. And those who be victims to the perversion, like the female, well, they're evil to themselves. They're perverted. They're nasty. They don't care selling themselves. In their nasty, weird way that they have marriage or whatever. It's not even a marriage. It's like prostitution. Okay, but good Muslims just get away from the bad stuff of their religion. They just live a normal life. Just like good Christians don't follow the bad parts of their Bible that are sexist and crazy. And they just live a normal life. You get me? That's actually why humans, they tell you they're in a religion. And they live a good moral life. And you're thinking, not moral life, sorry. They live a decent life, a decent moral life. They can't be perfectly moral if they all have certain sins. Like a lot of non-Muslims, we would consider them good people, but they drink alcohol like that. But you get me, in terms of at least how they treat others or themselves, right? They don't do evil. Some people obviously question them. They're like, well, your book says this. And that person's shocked. You get me? Because they're following the good parts of the religion. You get me? They're not agreeing to the evil parts about God. Okay, so anyways, it's sinful to work in these places like Walmart or Target or whatever. Okay, you're supposed to work at a place where things that are being sold, things that are being produced, and things that are being cooked are not sinful. Because produce doesn't mean cooking, right? Produce could just be you're just a production part of the company, or maybe you're actually just getting it from another company that produced it and you're just selling it, right? You could kind of be part of the little bit of the production, or you could be completely off hands of that and you're just selling it. Okay, you're still part of the mess. Just as a Muslim would not sell alcohol directly to you, right? And anyone who truly believes in God, obviously Islam is the correct religion. It's just corrupted. So anyone who's following the correct parts of God's original wisdom and knowledge that he taught the human race, which some of it is going to be in Islam, some of it is going to be in the Bible or Christianity. Anyone who's following these basic areas of morality in how they make a job, how they make a living, they don't do sinful bad things to make a money, and they don't consume it themselves, those bad things. Okay,